Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar, Employee Career Development, Career Coaching and Career Portals in Corporate Settings. Our presenters today are Joon, Pam, and Jessica. And we'd like to thank Sharon Givens, the NCDA Trustee for Private Practice, Business, Industry, and Agencies for coordinating today's webinar. Yes, a recording of the webinar will be posted in the LinkedIn group. All you have to do is log into LinkedIn and search NCDA Constituency for Private Practice, Business, Industry, and Agencies. And the recording will be available on LinkedIn for 5 days. Feel free to type questions and comments in the chat throughout the webinar. Please know that for privacy reasons, the chat is set to private, so only the moderator, that's me, will see your questions and comments. And our presenters will answer as many questions as they can in the time allotted later on in the program. That's me. I'm Marie. Thanks for having me. And I'd like to cordially introduce Joon, Pam, and Jessica, who will be talking about employee career development, career coaching, and career portals in corporate settings. Just a moment while I bring their slides up. Go ahead, guys.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Do you all hear me? I assume that everybody can hear me. And Pam and Jessica will be sharing about best practices in career coaching and career portals in the business and industry setting. Before we share different cases in the industry, I'd like to share a model that integrates 25 plus career interventions in a graphic according to different career life cycles. And then as Pam and Jessica will present, they will share specific cases and best practices and some tips for implementation. So in this part, Pam, please go ahead.
We need to define what we mean by career, and we have submitted a definition. It's simply the pursuit of some kind of consecutive progressive achievement where a person's neurologically programmed natural capacities or endowments come to bear, and typically this is referred to as a permanent calling.
Right. In an organization setting, we approach career development a bit differently from the individual setting, like as you approach career development from a career coaching or career counseling. So in an organizational setting, it is to match the needs of employees and the employer. It is important for you to make those balanced. So think about a situation or situations where employers' needs are heavily emphasized, then what would happen? So think about those situations. Employees may feel too exploited, and their level of engagement will go down, also satisfaction, etc. And in some rare cases, employees' needs are more emphasized, especially in a situation where the power of union is very, very strong. So as a career development professional and as an HR professional, it is important for you to keep in mind that there should be a balance between those two. And the career development process in an organization setting is all about matching between those two parties, the needs of between two parties. It starts with recruitment. So it is to satisfy the employer's needs. So if you're a recruiter, you find people who can satisfy the job requirements. If you are a job seeker, you would try to find a job that fits your needs and interests and desires. So also let's think about different key players in an organization. These days, people say that the responsibility for one's career development is on the employee, not the organization. But is that true? So employees are situated within an organizational setting, and they interact with their co-workers, and also their supervisor or leader's influence is very high. So in many cases, employees leave because of bad supervisors or not very well-fitting leader with them. And also, HR professionals or HR policy can support employee career development. Let's think about employee orientation and performance management policy, promotion, and also benefits, etc. Those are all related to career development. And I assume that most of the participants in today's webinar are NCDA members. And there is a key role that career specialists can play in this dynamics, because HR professionals not necessarily know about employees or individuals' career development process. So in some organizations, probably a growing number of organizations have internal career development specialists, like those ones who will present, co-present with me today. So HR professionals and career specialists need to collaborate in setting policies and practices, and also different interventions, including coaching, mentoring, workshops. And they all support employees' career development, and there is a wider environment outside of the organization. This slide shows you 25 different career development interventions that could be used within an organizational setting. And I mapped those interventions according to employees' career development cycle within an organization, within a specific organization. For example, before you enter the organization, you go through the exploration stage. Like it's the same as an organization and as an individual. So as an organization, you explore different talent that fits organizational needs. And as an individual, you look for well-fitting positions. So in that stage, there are different practices that you could use. For example, job posting, internal labor market information system, if you target internal employees. And let's suppose that an employee entered the organization. There are a series of interventions or practices that you could offer as an organization. For example, career workshops for new employees, and you can initiate individual development plan, new employee orientation, etc. Although those are not typically linked with individual career development in an HR practice, those all contribute to individual career development. And as they go through this cycle, like they move towards development. So let's suppose that you've spent maybe a year within an organization, you've gone through the development cycle. During the process, you could receive mentoring, coaching, things like that, and you move on to the mastery phase. So there, promotion or assessment center or succession planning, those practices can be considered and implemented. And you could exit not necessarily because you reached a retirement age. It could be voluntary retirement and to move on to a different position inside or outside of the company. So you go through this cycle multiple times within and also outside of organization, even if you left the organization, right? So here, I would like you to think about how many interventions your current organization offers. So just think about it. When I ask this question at a conference, I get different answers. Like it ranges from maybe 8 to maybe 20, something like that. And I would say most Fortune 500 companies have plus maybe it's 18 plus minus 5 interventions on the list. But if you work for a smaller organization, you will find maybe 10 to 13 interventions are available. So it depends on the size of the organization, and also it depends on the culture of the organization and the degree of the support in terms of employee career development. So we share this because it is important for you to have a broader perspective regarding employee career development. And actually, this presentation is a follow-up on our previous presentation that we offered at the NCDA conference. We originally intended to share best practices about 4 different interventions, but we ran out of time and we ended up sharing only 2 types of interventions. Now I will turn it over to Pam. So because of the time constraints, we will skip this assessment part, but I will be sharing through Marie checklist so that you can self-check how many interventions your organization implements and how many interventions your organization implements well. So that can give you some idea, and you could probably prioritize which one your organization may need to offer to support employee career development. Okay.
Well, we have 2 different examples. One is career development around motion industries, and the other one is mentoring via Key Bank. And I will be talking about motion industries, and Jessica will share her insights as to what she's doing with Key Bank. A little bit about Motion Industries. It is a subsidiary of General Parts Corporation. I have been working with this particular organization for 4 years, and the coaching that and career work involves a leadership track of about 10 to 15 people and about 30 people in the individual contributor track. They have monthly workshops, all related to career development. They have a contract with Covey, so there are some Covey workshops, but not all of them are with Covey. After each one of the workshops, I spend approximately 30 minutes talking about what they learned, applying the awareness that they have of their talent. We integrate Strengths Finders work in the coaching. We also have a Myers-Briggs assessment that we use, and we have them identify a wildly important goal. We call it a WIG, and that WIG is designed for them to use what they're learning as well as to apply their individual talent to the succession of that WIG. The boss's involvement is invited, And throughout the year, we check in to see how that's going, and we talk about the application of their talent in service of the WIG. At the end of the year, we have 2 capstone workshops. One is for all of the individual contributors. The other is for leaders. And in those 2 workshops, we focus on what they have to do to discuss talent and talent management with the other. In other words, the individual contributors will begin to understand what it is, what their talent is, what they bring to the organization, and how it can best be not only applied but developed. The leaders are trained in how to engage in career development discussions that are quite different from performance. And those discussions take place. And then afterwards, we have a one-on-one, one more time with each individual to see what they've done and to form goals for the following year. Those for 2018, everything has been finished with the exception of the end of this month. We will have a graduation ceremony in which we will summarize the learning that's taken place and move them forward into 2019. Jessica?
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. So my name is Jessica Wood. Thanks for having me here tonight. Sorry that you can't see me, but at least you can hear me, so I'm glad we've got that going. I work for KeyBank as a senior talent management consultant, and KeyBank is one of the largest regional banks based out of Cleveland, Ohio, have a presence in 15 different states, and my position is essentially the main career development practitioner for employee engagement across the enterprise. And you can see some of the different interventions on the slide that we do, and there's more in addition to that. But the one that I'm going to be focusing on tonight is our Keys to Your Career portal, which is a comprehensive career development hub that has different sorts of resources for different career development topics that anybody from our enterprise can access and utilize. So I'm excited to share more with you about that when we get to that piece in a little bit here. Thank you.
We can move that slide forward. I think we've covered that. Okay, I'm going to talk about career coaching workshops. And as we go into this, I'm going to encourage you to think about career work as a career systems or a systems approach to career work, where many different people in many different capacities all work towards the same focus. And so I'm going to talk about what we mean by career coaching. Obviously, well, maybe not obviously, it is a verbal exchange, and it can be between a career coach. It can also be between a leader as coach, or even a peer, and all of which has to do with the client. And who the client is can change from minute to minute in some cases. Career coaching addresses neurologically programmed capacities, talent. It addresses the application of that talent to the needs of the business, the knob. It involves the creation of a plan, and then it involves discussion with key stakeholders for support to implement that plan. Why is this important? Because you want the right people at the right time, in the right place, and it supports a general culture of retention and engagement. So that's why the systems approach is key to this. To the employees, it serves as an advocate for them. It allows them to become more and more aware not only of their talent, but what are the challenges that they're incurring as they begin to express that talent. Are they in the right place? Is it the right fit? It also helps employees to feel a little more in charge of their career. The it also respects the relationship with the individual talent and the needs of the business. And I think that's really important. Sometimes leaders can see career development as courting or allowing people to become prima donnas. That's not what this is about. This is, in fact, helping an individual to become very clear about what their talent is and where they can express it, sharing that with key stakeholders, all in service of the needs of the business. So there's some options. There's a licensed coach option who comes in either as an employee or as a consultant and helps with the delivery of the career coaching program. That includes program design, training, and management. I currently serve as a consultant to Motion Industries. Previously, I was hired internally to work for a very large organization to run and manage and deliver the program. So it can be done in a lot of different ways. There is career coaching that involves those people that are internally trained, and usually it's one-on-one. Every once in a while I know of a situation where a large corporation has trained senior peer coaches who train less senior peer coaches on how to coach for career development. And then there's the very unique setting of group coaching, and that involves breakout sessions in a workshop. And I will tell you, I've been delivering the workshop series that I'm about to talk about since 2005, and consistently the breakout sessions in a coaching situation, given that the coaching workshop teaches the participants what to focus on and what to respond to, becomes very powerful, because these are people that are very much understanding of the culture and the challenges within that culture as an individual talks about growing their career in the context of development. So what do you need for a career coaching program? You need someone that is certified in some way as a coach and has a background of what career development is about. You can also train your leaders to coach, and you can find leaders that do it almost intuitively and do it because it makes sense. They understand right off the bat that it's about retention and engagement. And then you may find leaders who think that this is not something that they want to do. Those are all some of the challenges of running a program. And then you can use, of course, the peer coach. Career coaching is really important to be integrated into the life cycle of each employee. Early career is a real quick way of retaining people, of keeping them from jumping within that first year. Mid-career folks have been around for a while, and they're looking for the next growth area. They've got experience, and they want to get more and more involved in higher, more challenging opportunities. Late career folks often don't want to retire. And I'll talk about that a little bit later as well. But sometimes they're looking for a new direction, and they come with a great deal of wisdom. And so helping them to find the new place to express their career and a way to give back is also an excellent place for career work. You need to make sure that in your organization, going to the career coach is seen as okay. I've been in organizations where going to the career coach is where you went when you were broken in some way, and you want to get as far away from that as possible. And you want to make sure that you court and find a high-profile leader to be the champion for your program. Now, I'm going to give you an illustration of how career coaching can occur. The first one, which is roughly a 10-month experience, is something that I wrote and participated in for almost 10 years, and it works. It also is highly intensive for labor in terms of one coach working with one person. So that's the drawback. But in that process, you have an intake, you set goals, you go through some type of an assessment, you try to identify what the ideal work description might be, and you can find it through various numbers of the various types of assessments, Myers-Briggs, strengths finder, interest inventories, personal mission statements having to do with one's values. And then you want to talk about what their reputation is and how they're performing, not from a performance management perspective, but what are they doing? And what is their reputation? How are they seen by the key stakeholders that impact their careers? And what kind of network they have? Then you want to fold 1, 2, and 3 into the needs of the business. What is it that what are the trends? What are the needs of the business now, immediately? And what will it be in 5 years? One of the themes and the patterns that is cropping up a lot is Amazon. And how are we handling our talent and the application of our talent in relation to what Amazon is doing to business in some cases? It is a true disruptor. That's just an invitation for creativity, quite frankly. And then there's the creation of a plan. Here's my talent. Here's the needs of the business. Where do I see myself fitting now within the first year? And where do I want to be in 5 years? And the last part is holding that conversation with stakeholders. Obviously, it's a boss, but it can very well be a colleague. Might be a spouse or a partner, children. A lot of things come out when you start deciding and thinking about your talent and where you want to express your talent. A hybrid of this is to combine a workshop. The one I do is a day and a half with some one-on-one coaching. And so the workshop that I do with individual contributors, and this is the one I'm doing at Motion Industries, the one I've been doing since 2005, involves 1, 2, 3, and 4 above. What is, an intake? What's our goal? We take some assessments. We talk about number 3, performance, reputation, networking, the needs of the business now and later. And then on their own, they create a plan. In that half day, when they come back, they sit with peers and they share, they share their plan, and they get coaching and feedback from the people that know the culture and they trust about what they want to do and where they want to go. And I will tell you, this is the most powerful 1 hour of the whole workshop. And then they work with a certified coach, myself. And then also they take all of this learning and all of these aspirations to their leader. And meanwhile, we've trained their leader on how to engage in that conversation. And so it ends up being a discussion around, here's my goal, here's the needs of the department, here's how I can support the needs of the department. And as a leader, do I want to create stretch assignments? Do I want to talk about on-the-job training? Mentoring becomes a part of the conversation. And of course, formal training. I tend to focus on the least because the greatest ROI comes from stretch assignments in service of the needs of that particular department. Career coaching best practices. And in a minute, I'm going to talk about other types of best practices. So I want you to make sure you're clear on the difference between the two. You need to make sure confidentiality is there, because you're asking people in many cases to share things that they've only thought about. And if they're not comfortable being able to talk about and dream in your presence without it getting out to other people, then your program won't get much. The grapevine will kind of kill your program. So that's why confidentiality is in all caps there. You want to market your program internally. Brochures. When National Career Development Week and Day happens, you want to make a big splash in some way. You want to have programs. You want to have contests. You want to be on that internal website. You want to find a high-profile internal champion who will speak for you and with you. And you want to always come across as professional and trustful, that you are serious about what you're doing and that you won't entertain anything other than highly professional behavior. It needs to be seen as an integral part of the company, on company's time, not to be done after hours. And an appropriate structure for the career coaching, of course, is related to budget and manpower. And so I would suggest you start with a small group of people who can help you put together a structure, launch it, get feedback, use that feedback, apply it, and move forward. Make sure that your message is constant. Make sure that it is everywhere possible, spoken, printed, audio, visual, so that you know that you are forced to contend with in the organization. Obviously, this can impact everybody, but you can break it down into early career programs, mid-career, and late career. We've run special programs only for engineers. We've run special programs in career development for engineer leadership, believe me, in an entirely different skill set from a straight engineer. And it's really important that career development help them understand that difference. Emerging leaders, brand new leaders that yesterday were on a team, today they're leading that team. There's some special dynamics around career development and leadership in that. Mid-level leaders, these are the people that are branching out into taking senior leadership positions, and they need lots of good career development. You want to hang on to your talent. You don't want them to go away. And the biggest reason why people stay in companies is that they are developed, and career work is about development. You can have a follow-up program where you have peer career coaching, making sure that those people have some kind of training and they know what to do and what not to do as part of that program. And Jessica will talk very wisely about portals, but I cannot stress them enough. You can make them with your IT. You can create your own portals. You can buy them, but make sure you use them. They can become a necessary and important part of your whole career development program. Workshops. It's a facilitated event. It's led by some sort of expert. There's breakout career coaching. You create that plan and you enlist the support of stakeholders. That's the whole purpose of that workshop. Career workshops obviously are designed to retain and engage talent. It's also less expensive than doing one-on-one. You can do half day, you can do whole day, you can do day and a half, you can do an hour every month. So you save time and maybe money, although some workshops can be quite expensive. And the benefit to employees, of course, is the self-awareness and the planning, the awareness that they've got talent. Some people don't even know that they have talent, and everybody does. One of the benefits of this is the collective intelligence piece regarding the management of their career, getting a little help from their friends about who they are and where they are and how they can use that talent. And then, of course, the group coaching and learning environment. Whoops, I went too fast. So what are the options for implementation? A general program for anybody, for specific populations, specific career-related topics. We've done workshops on how to write a good resume, especially if there's an internal website and people are looking to move around. Specific careers. At one point, we were looking for nuclear engineers. So we looked for electrical engineers who wanted to become a systems or nuclear engineer and what that meant in terms of their career. You can have career workshops only for individual contributors, which is what I've been doing for Motion Industries. And then, of course, career development workshops for leaders. I'm going to talk now about a specific workshop that is symbiotic. And this is where I'm really serious about the need for a systems approach to career work. You can do a lot of work with people, but if leaders not supporting you, then it's not going to go very far. You can do a lot of work with leaders, but if you don't have employees that can engage in the conversation with a leader intelligently, you're not going to go very far. So this is part one of a symbiotic relationship. You'll see part two in just a minute. And remember Joon's words about the balance between employee and employer. Take Control of Your Career is a workshop that I offer that's a day and a half. And in that day, we talk about career aspirations and an individual's talent, which involves the Myers-Briggs, it involves strengths finders, it involves writing a personal mission statement, or examining values. It involves a talent piece as well. Then we talk about how they are performing and what their capacity is, and are they performing in the right place at the right time according to them. Then we look at where is the company going, and we look at trends and patterns. We actually examine the line of sight goals for a company, and we look at what are the challenges this year for this particular department relative to the market. Motion Industries is not hampered very much by Amazon because they are a distributor. And at this point, that's not much of a problem. But there are some of their competitive competition is being threatened by Amazon's presence. That creates opportunities for Motion Industries. And we trickle that right on down to how do those opportunities show up in your particular department, and how are you going to use your talent in support of the needs of these challenges. Then we write some goals. We have various different, we use spreadsheets, we use Word, but we create career goals that incorporate especially their career aspiration and talent. I hold their feet to the fire around, is this particular career aspiration a fit for your talent now that you understand it? And then we teach them how to have a discussion with their leader, with stakeholders, so that they're talking intelligently about their talent, and they're talking intelligently about the needs of the business and the department. After the workshop, I offer and engage in post-workshop coaching to individualize the work that they've learned. Now, part 2 is a separate workshop. It's given only to leaders. Excuse me. This is a half-day workshop. It talks to leaders about why should they develop their people. And I cite a ton of research, some of which I've gotten through NCDA, about the relationship between retention and engagement and development, and helping leaders to understand if they don't want to lose their talent. And I have them identify one particular talent that if they lost them, it would create problems for them. And then we work through this workshop with that person in mind. And eventually they get it, that this is something they need to do with all of their people. And then I give them tools and documents, and we role play the delivery of a talent discussion with one of their direct reports. And then we get into, okay, with this particular talented person, where are the stretch assignments? What are the specific things that your department needs, and how can this particular employee who is talented be invited and encouraged to engage in some kind of project or task to grow their talent? And then I'm going to have a discussion with that leader individually on how to engage in these discussions. So here are the best practices for the workshops. You need to establish a plan for metrics. You need to make sure that you can create return on investment of your time and expenditures for holding these workshops. They got to make a difference. And you want to make sure that you tie these workshops into things like retention and engagement and the needs of the business. In Motion, we're looking at attrition numbers. Joon is graciously and wisely implementing a study and survey of the ROI for these career interventions at Motion Industries. We hope to be able to share that information the middle of this coming year. Make sure that your workshops are symbiotic. Make sure that if you're working with employees, you're also working with bosses, so that you teach them to talk to each other. So there's mutual benefit to each other for having these discussions, all in the service of the needs of the business. Topics that can be in a workshop have to be compelling. If you're a new employee, how do you hang on to these employees? Well, you want to retain them. You want to help them find a home quickly. And a career workshop is a good way to do that. If you want leaders that need to be serving as a career coach, you want to make sure that you offer that as well. We've had workshops on how to write a resume, how to make a career transition, how to interview. We've done workshops with emerging leaders and engineering leadership. The number of compelling topics is vast. It's only limited by your imagination and your ability to garner the information from your culture. You want to make sure, again, that chain of command is highly visible and talks about, uses your words, uses your keywords about your program often to as many people as possible, especially those in power, especially those that have fiduciary responsibilities. You want to integrate your portal intentionally. You want to use it. You want it to be a place that's special. You want to password protect it so documents can be uploaded and shared. And then you want to keep a constant feedback circle going so that you become very much aware quickly of trends and patterns that you want to either leverage and capitalize on or correct. And now, Jessica, I tried to talk as fast as possible.
You're good, Pam. Thanks for sharing all that great information. So now what I'm going to talk about is one of our #1 utilized resources at Key, which is our career development portal. And as I mentioned earlier, what our portal is an online comprehensive career development tool that is a one-stop and intended to be a one-stop for all of the career development needs that our employees might have, and offers a variety of different tools that they can utilize. And why we developed our career portal about 5 years ago now was we saw the need to have this all-inclusive tool for people at all different career stages, of different tenures, and with different developmental needs to utilize. And also, we saw the need for individuals to have an on-demand self-service tool. So we've got tellers who, are very client-facing and don't have a lot of time to do development work like workshops or other things. So then we've got people who can block time off their calendars and do some of those more time-intensive things. So we needed a solution to reach the masses in that way and be mindful of everyone's time. And so really, in addition, our career portal helps deliver on the employee promise that we have. We have a great culture of career development at Key, and our philosophy is really you own your career, and this portal allows our employees to do that. And so some of the things that are within the portal would be we have our internal career postings, so the positions that are open within Key to help promote career mobility in that way. We also have a few career assessments, from interests to values to career options to career development goals that individuals can utilize and get information to move themselves forward in those topics. And another main reason we developed our portal is because we wanted employees to have a tool, as well as managers to have a tool to have better career conversations with each other. And so there's a lot of resources in there related to having an effective conversation. And then being a large, complex organization, one of the challenges we still have that exists is finding a way to help our employees with career pathing, helping them figure out, where it is they want to go, where their skills apply, what they need to develop in. And so we've got a bunch of different tools on the portal related to career pathing, things on informational interviewing, shadowing, different lines of business, skill sets, those sorts of things. And I would say, at a high level, those are the things that are within our career portal. And why the portal is helpful is to the organization, really is a development tool that helps with retention, engagement. It's really, as we've seen, we've done a few engagement surveys since its inception and has helped to increase our career development scores related to that. Also helps employees work through different career development challenges that they're having through the resources that we have, which are documents, the assessments, videos, links to other internal resources as well. Also helps make their development planning more effective because they have different tools they can use to kind of bridge gap areas that they have identified, and allows us to bring customized content to our employees. If there's an identified enterprise area that we want to focus on, we can put content like that within the portal for it to be delivered to employees. And as with any kind of initiative, as we started to put this together, we really tried to identify who our key stakeholders were so we could create and deliver and continuously deliver a tool that meets their needs. So, our number one stakeholder was the employee, and we're able to get in-time feedback from them through a little feedback feature. We do surveys, and then we also use our reporting. There's a great reporting tool through the portal where we can see monthly who's going in, what resources they're using, how they're using those things, how much time they're spending in there. So that'll help then drive our strategy and our marketing. We also leverage our managers. So we educate our managers on the portal, and there is actually a feature, a focus in the portal just for managers, and it's to help with their development, but also tools they can use to help develop their employees. So we really promote it with them, not only to use for themselves, but to help with their employee development. Another key stakeholder is our learning function, because we work very closely with them and they're big promoters of it within what they do. And then we do work with a vendor. They host our portal, but we really manage it and provide most of the customized content. So, you want to make sure that you have a good vendor, or if you create this in-house, that's fine too. But you want to have a vendor that's easy to work with, going to be strategic with you, and is going to provide updated, refreshed content, because there are different career development needs that come up, and you want to try and keep things fresh and relevant to your needs. So when you think about implementing some sort of portal for your organization, what you'd want to do is first start by thinking, what are some of the major career development needs that we have, or some of our gap areas? And that's where you can really uncover and then think about, okay, let's start and prioritize that content. And that's what I could start to build into my portal. Also, I would encourage you to start small. Our portal has become quite large with many resources, and so we've been working kind of streamline and condense that a little bit to the most prioritized needed resources. And that's where our vendor has been helpful too. Also, you need to gain buy-in from leaders. So we had a lot of leaders who helped promote this when it first started. We do testimonials now from different users as a promotional tool. There's a lot of marketing that we do related to the portal to get people in, to get them to realize there's different resources and to showcase the value, because you can have great resources and great programs, but if people don't know about them, it's going to be very underutilized. And then lastly, what we did as part of the marketing was we did road shows. So we went and did demos at different business meetings. We actually really cross-promote our portal through our mentoring program, through workshops we do, through one-on-one coaching that I do. So, I'm constantly cross-referring people back to it. And as far as illustrations, people can go into the portal, and there are two really kind of main ways they can get content. There's a roadmap, which leads them step through the career development process and has corresponding resources for that. Or there is an explore area where, say, for example, they wanted to find some resources on networking. They could go right in, narrow down to that, and find everything in there related to networking. And again, there is also a manager's focus. So individual contributors can go in, look at their own focus and those related resources, and then managers can go in and look at their own resources as well. Because as Pam was saying, that symbiotic relationship is critical. We want the managers to be able to have good conversations with the employees about what they're developing on. And then some of the best practices I'd end with is just some of the things I've mentioned. Really understand the needs that your organization and your employees have related to career development, and that's the way you can start to mirror and build your portal. Provide a variety of resources. People like learning in different ways. So as I mentioned, we've got videos, we've got quick tips, we've got longer documents, we've got links to other kind of scenario-based things, videos. So you want to make sure you have a variety of those. Also keep it fresh, add in your own content based on feedback and evolving needs, really work on that promotion, create those targeted resources, and then again, look at reporting and trends of what's going on, because that can give you a lot of insight as to what's most important for your organization and where you need to further focus your efforts. Thank you.
And Marie, this is, I think, for Q&A.
Hi, everyone. We'd like to invite you to ask as many questions as you wish. Feel free to type them in the chat at this time, and we will read those questions to our presenters. We actually have some questions already. I'm going to read them to you. Okay. So here we go. This person writes, I understand that one of the presenters uses Gallup Strengths in the program process. Do they also use VIA Strengths Character Assessment? If not, why? Or if so, why?
Very good question. I use Strengths Finders because Strengths Finders was created for business and industry. I have used the other assessment and in one-on-one executive coaching.
Great.
So, Pam, can you explain a little bit further why you use the other tool for executive coaching only?
Sometimes in executive coaching, we get into things that are outside of the realm of the particular business responsibility. And those strengths can be most helpful in self-awareness and in some cases, application to maybe a business and industry strength. Mm-hmm. It's an awareness thing.
Thank you.
Okay, the next question says, what are some of the activities that each of you have conducted during National Career Development Week or National Career Development Day?
I will start. We have had, in the company newspaper, we've had folks talk about their career progression and write stories about that. Sometimes we had games where someone would talk about previous jobs and the employees could vote on who had that job. We've had speakers, and we typically have had a huge cake and served it at lunch. It went real quick, but it was National Career Development Week or day, and people came by to see our programs, our materials. We also had our, this happened to be a vice president who just got it about career development. And he was always there, and he was well respected within the company. And so people were eager to come and talk to him. So he was a great draw.
Hi, this is Jessica. We've done a scavenger hunt with our portal, like a contest. So people had to go in and kind of use some clues to find resources. And we've done some testimonials kind of featuring how people have owned their career to help inspire others, you know, to take ownership for NCDA month and day.
Okay, you guys ready for another question?
Sure.
This one says, in your opinion, what is the difference between executive coaching and career coaching?
That too can vary, and sometimes executive coaching is career coaching, but not always. They can overlap. Typically, an executive coaching experience, well, I don't want to use the word typically. If you're working with an executive that is struggling, then that's obvious. You're helping them to find ways to perform better. If you're working with a rising executive, then you want to get a wherewithal in terms of what are the challenges, where are the growth areas, what is the village of key stakeholders to their career, and how can they integrate their talent better towards that particular individual. Usually there are goals. Today I worked with an executive, and we looked at 2019 and we had 3 different goals. They overlap in many cases, but we are in the process now of writing that behaviorally and discussing and setting our coaching contract.
This person writes, do you use the same coaching process for all employees, or do you customize your approach to meet the needs of each employee?
There's a base that's usually the same, but depending on the person's style and what seems to resonate with them, it might change.
This next question says, do you use a certain career development theory or coaching model?
I can't say that I consciously follow a particular model. I tend to use what works or what seems to work. I certainly understand and appreciate strengths-based coaching and an understanding of what it means to manage one's weaknesses and to coach for that, for those strengths. So I don't know that I can name a model that I use always.
This person writes, Pam, you mentioned that employees receive coaching from a certified coach. Do you recommend a certain coach training program for the coaches on your team?
No. There are many great programs out there. I happen to have an advanced degree in coaching, so certainly I fall back on that. But I've got certification in a number of different arenas, and am currently working with WBEC World Business Executive Coaching Summit to look at the various coaching approaches that are out there and to make sure that good coaches are aware of all the options for furthering their skills.
So Pam, in the chat, all kinds of people are saying, tell us more about an advanced degree in coaching. What school? What's the name of the program? And other people have a similar question, like, which advanced degree in coaching? What school has an advanced degree in coaching? So there's a lot of questions. They're still popping in. It's all similar, so I'll just ask the one.
And I'm going to say that there are many, many great programs out there. If you want to hear about mine, I think my email is around there. I'd be happy to share with you what I did. But I had the very wonderful opportunity to work with a professor that knew that I resonated around career development, and she made sure that I got lots of stretch assignments when I was in graduate school.
This next question says, what are your favorite resources to put in the career portal?
Jessica?
Yeah, so I would say the favorite resources that I've created and added in myself are related to informational interviewing and shadowing. So those are some of the most experiential resources, and I really have found that the employees have taken away the most value from them, and that they're that really critical component of helping with that career pathing. So those would be 2 that I would say are my favorite.
This is another career portal question. The person's asking, do you recommend a certain platform to house your career portal?
I mean, I can tell you we work with Lee Hecht Harrison, that's our vendor. And they've been great for us, but it depends on your needs. And, I would suggest doing a market scan and doing research on the different vendors, seeing what they offer, how they can evolve with you. I mean, I think those are some really important things to consider with your vendor. Go ahead, Pam. Use a different vendor.
I was going to add, Motion uses Covey. When I was working internally as a coach, we created our own, and we were lucky enough to have an IT department that worked with us.
This next question you may have already answered in your previous responses, but this person writes, do you create your own content for the career portal, or do you curate content or hire a vendor?
we have the combination of that, and we kind of create our own content to fill in the gaps of what's not available already, and to make it more customized to our specific population.
This person writes, can we see an example of the inside of a career portal? Are you willing to show us your portal?
I definitely cannot show it to you right now because I can't even show you my webcam because I have technical issues and difficulties, but I will check with compliance if I'm able to share that externally. But I'm sure we can find some way afterwards to share a little bit more information, whether it's direct picture or, description. So.
This question says, for all the presenters, what advice do you have for new career development professionals?
So let me ask a clarifying question. So do you wish to work in an organizational setting as a career professional?
The person replied that they do work in a career development setting, and they're new to the field. They love it. They want to know some advice from experienced
my question is whether that would be a corporate setting or outside of the corporate setting, like higher education or other settings.
Corporate setting.
Corporate setting. All right. So I would emphasize on what Pam mentioned. So it's a systems approach. Taking a systems approach is very, very important to understand the dynamics within the organization and of the organization, and how career development aspect is situated, and how it interacts with others, like leaders, and also definitely career development practitioners need to understand HR policy, different HR practices, how they help or hinder career development, and things like that. In addition to developing your skill sets as a career development specialist. Pam, probably you would want to add something.
No, I think you covered it well. That's what I would say.
All right.
I thought that was great, Joon. The other thing I would say is definitely stay up on your networking. Some of these positions are pretty niche and rare within corporate. And mine happened to just come along through some connections I knew. I worked for 6 years in higher ed career development, so was able to make that transition over to the corporate and business world. So keep up with that networking and make those connections that might exist.
Right, great suggestion, Jessica. And these Pam and Jessica and some other colleagues are, I would say, pioneers, because there are not many existing in the corporate setting. And we have Corporate Career Development Consortium. So if you are interested in joining the consortium, please private email me, and I can introduce you to a person who organizes the consortium webinars. So there are webinars offered on a quarterly basis. So you could join the group.
We have a few comments in the chat that I'd like to read. This person writes, awesome, thanks. The next comment says, this was a fabulous webinar. Someone else says, thanks for the checklist. It was great. And the next person's asking if they can connect with all of you on LinkedIn.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, that's a question. Go ahead.
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. And my maybe comment or maybe request would be, I have a practical background. I've practiced career development and leadership development, those things in the past in a corporate setting. But my primary gig now is researching. So my short-term plan, or it could be long-term, is to do kind of organization assessment in order to find out where the needs are in terms of corporate career development for the organization. So if your organization is interested in finding out the need in terms of what kind of career interventions could be offered, please reach out to me. I'll be happy to collaborate with you, even without getting paid. That's so. Yeah, that's my passion, and I'd like to build a research agenda in that direction.
Great. Okay, great. Any additional questions? If so, please type them in the chat at this time. Well, everyone, thank you so much for your time, and I would like to recognize all of our presenters, Joon, Pam, and Jessica, for your fantastic knowledge. I learned a lot, and I think everyone else did too. Also, I'd like to recognize Sharon Givens, who coordinated this event, and thanks for having me be the moderator. I enjoyed chatting with all of you in the chat and sharing your questions and comments. So everyone, please join me in applauding our presenters. Thank you, everyone. Yay.
Thank you, Marie, Sharon, and everyone.
All right.
Hope
Yeah.
you
Bye, everyone.
Bye.